So Milwaukee got a hold of me again, and I said yes, send it.
So that's all the ways closed down? From trigger to...
9 feet it should be.
Okay, so what I'm doing?
810.
Feet exactly.
13. I'm looking at the trees. There's one over the parking lot over there.
Yeah.
It's not technically my tree. Trees like this, they defy gravity laterally for such a length of time that they become heavy, and then they're in your face when you're mowing. That's one thing. Or they're just in your area where you want to drive or walk or whatever. They're too close to the house. They scrape on the gutters or whatever. Not only that, but they will break under the weight of their own growth over time. So end weight reduction is what's needed to allow them to continue growing without breaking under the weight of their own growth. Also, snow or harsh weather can add weight or force to a tree that causes it to break. Some of the work that needs to be done with this tree, I don't necessarily need a chainsaw to do. It'll be done well with a pole pruner. Like, for example, this limb right here, the kids like to climb on this, and so I don't want to just cut that off because it's low. I mean, I'll duck under it when I'm mowing or whatever because they like it, but it can't just go on in an undetermined amount of time. It has to be reined in. It has to be pruned, and it gets harder and harder to get it out of your face over time, to do it artistically, to do it in a way that is proper for the best health of the tree. It gets challenging, but basically you want, wherever you have a cut, you want energy going past the cut. Carbohydrates and nutrient flow up and back on the tree will allow the cut to heal better than if you just, like I did here, I just chopped it off. Well, I'm not leaving it like that. That's just the first cut. And I'll cut it again back to the trunk near the lateral, because then it'll heal. This chainsaw, this Milwaukee pole pruner, it's not necessarily going to be needed for everything I'm going to do here, but I'm finding that it's going to be quite handy for anything, you know, this big or this big, even maybe this big. It's got a lot of power. It's got some weight to it, but it's got power, and it's nice. Yesterday I was running a one of these, except it was gas powered. I wish I'd checked the mail yesterday and gotten this before I'd gone to work, but I was using the gas powered one, and I started it and I made a few cuts, and then I turned it off and I set it down, and then I came back to it and I grabbed it and I went up the ladder with it, and I was pulling the trigger. I was like, come on, man, what's the matter with this thing? It's because I've been using battery saws a lot lately, and I forgot that I had to pull the cord and start that thing. It was kind of funny. That's unbelievable that would happen to me, but it did. So I'll do a few cuts with it and give you an idea of what it's like. I can tell you right now that Milwaukee makes stuff with power. So it's got good power. They definitely build it kind of rugged, so it's not a dainty, lightweight thing. That's the only thing that I would say. I mean, who doesn't like things to be light? But that's not going to happen with this. But boy, I think it'll get the job done. So that's not the saw taking a long time to cut. That's me being careful with the throttle so that I don't run the saw into something that I don't want to cut. This thing has got loads of power. And that's that's pretty good. So you see what I did there? It still looks like a tree branch. It's not a stubbed off thing. In other words, where the cut is, there's a tree that continues past the cut into foliage, which through photosynthesis collects, makes sugar. Sugar goes back down to other parts of the tree, first to its own limb, the limb that collected it, and then elsewhere. So that life energy going back and forth past the cut, I didn't overly flush cut it also. So I want to get some end weight here without a stub cut. So that's handy. See, it's got this little hook on the end. You cut off a limb, it gets hung up, you just hook that. It's very clever. Oh, that's interesting. They store the bar tool in such a way that you can't take the bar tool out of there, the bar wrench, unless you remove the battery. Isn't that clever? I mean, you don't want to be messing with the chain out there with the battery still on, right? It's already a little loose because the chain stretches when it's brand new. So it's a pretty handy spot for the bar wrench though, isn't it? So this branch right here, this is one that the kids like to play on. They climb up on the tree on this. So I want to get some weight off of it, but I want to go gentle on it. You don't want to leave cuts that are torn. You don't want your cuts peeling down and being torn. That right there is Cessna 33 Quebec, the plane that I fly. So hey, one thing I'm noticing about this is I'm able to cut pretty small diameter stuff without yanking it around, you know? That's interesting. It's smooth. Well, this tree's done. I work on this every year, so it's not like I've got loads of catching up to do. Overall, I'm super pumped about the pole saw, the Milwaukee pole saw. They're not like sending me checks in the mail to talk about it. This is just plain. If it helps you to believe me, that this isn't like bought advertisement for that thing. The other thing they sent me, the top handle saw, loads of power, heavy as heck. So we don't use it in the tree much. I would take it in the back of a truck to go camping or whatever, or use it around the house. We've even used it on a few jobs. Love the power, but it's kind of like Minecraft built a chainsaw. And I don't say that if you're watching Milwaukee, don't be upset by that. criticism, because I kind of like the simple, powerful, capable, get her done thing you've done with that saw, but this is more polished. This thing still got substantial weight, but it is a more polished tool in my opinion. So you haven't seen me use it out at 13 feet yet. So let's do a cut like that, and then we'll do another one somewhere. We'll find something bigger to cut with it. Power. I got something I can try it out on. This here madrone going out over my driveway is getting closer and closer to the driveway on account of its uprooting. So that's pretty good diameter to test it out on. What I'll do is I'll test it out at the full 13 feet extension, and then I'll shorten it up and test it out on some of this bigger stuff. What is it about being at home that makes you act like a homeowner? No hard hat, no glasses. This thing cuts really good. Let me show you a close-up view of it. Not a bad hinge on, not a bad notch for 13 feet away. You can only do that if it's cutting good and sharp, and it doesn't like tax you physically to hold it like that for very long. You know how it is with the dull thing, you end up doing silly cuts. This thing cuts really good. I don't think anybody that gets this saw will be disappointed. Actually, I need to extend this out a little bit for this cut. Flat! There's no reason to save this tree, but I'm like, for some reason I'm pruning it as I cut it down. Let's get into some bigger stuff. Yeah, I was trying not to booger this up. I don't know. I think this thing is totally awesome. You just pull the trigger. Here, let me clear the view for you. that help? So I'm using the whole bar. Guys, this thing's legit. So as of day one with the Milwaukee pole saw, power pole saw, I gotta say you won't be disappointed. You won't be disappointed on day one. I guarantee it. Maybe that's not a huge thing to say. That's just what I'm feeling right now. You guys, I guess I haven't used the battery up yet, but I got a lot of these batteries, so I don't know. I don't think that part will get me. I know that they're kind of juice hogs, but you know, sometimes you try things out and you're like, meh, you don't have lots to say about it. But I love this thing. This tree, I am pretty indiscriminate with the way I treat it. The last time I pruned this tree, I did it with my shotgun. I shot all the suckers off in a perfect lollipop shape.
Monkey people